It was a chilly evening in downtown London. The city streets buzzed with life, cars honking, people rushing past, and neon lights flickering against the damp pavement. Inside a small local diner, tucked away in a quiet corner, the smell of fresh burgers and fries filled the air. Big Shaq had just finished a long day. He had been running errands, shooting content, and dealing with the usual chaos of his schedule. Hungry and exhausted, he pushed open the glass door of the diner and stepped inside. The little bell above the entrance chimed, announcing his arrival. As he made his way toward the counter, something caught his eye. At one of the corner tables, an old man sat hunched over, his fingers trembling as he carefully counted a small pile of coins. The man's clothes were worn out, an oversized faded coat wrapped around his frail body, his shoes barely holding together. His beard was unkempt, and his eyes, though weary, held a quiet dignity. Shaq paused. He had seen struggling people before. London wasn't free of hardship, but something about this man felt different. There was a sense of quiet pain in his expression, as if life had been unbearably cruel to him. The old man sighed, shaking his head as he separated the last few pennies on the table. His hands were rough, cracked from the cold. He glanced up at the menu, eyes darting between the cheapest items, then looked back at his money, clearly realizing he didn't have enough. Shaq watched silently as the man hesitated before calling the waitress. "Miss..." The old man's voice was raspy, as if it hadn't been used much. "How much is the small soup again?" £3.99. The waitress replied with a polite but weary smile. The man bit his lip, recounting his coins, his expression darkening. I only have £2.87, he admitted softly, voice laced with embarrassment. "Do you have anything cheaper?" Shaq felt something twist inside him. The way the old man spoke. It wasn't just about hunger. It was about dignity, about trying to hold on to the last shred of self-respect. The waitress hesitated, glancing toward the manager. I'll check for you." She turned and walked toward the kitchen, leaving the man staring down at his worthless pennies. Shaq took a step forward. "Hey, old man," he said, his deep voice breaking the silence. The man flinched slightly and looked up. His eyes, a faded blue, met Shaq's. Shaq grinned. "You counting pennies like you trying to buy a mansion or something?" The old man chuckled dryly, but didn't answer. Instead, he let out a heavy sigh and pushed the coins into his pocket. Shaq pulled up a chair and sat across from him. "What's your name?" The man hesitated, then answered, William Carter." "Well, William," Shaq said, leaning forward, "I don't know what's going on with you, but let me tell you something. You ain't walking out of here hungry today." William's eyes flickered with something. Hope? Suspicion? Maybe both. "I can't take charity," he murmured. "I've always paid for my own food." Shaq raised an eyebrow. "Who said anything about charity?" He smirked. "Maybe I just need some good company while I eat." For the first time, William let out a genuine, albeit small, smile. And just like that, something unspoken passed between them. Shaq waved at the waitress. "Two of the biggest burgers you got," he said. "And a soup. Man's been dreaming of that soup, so let's get him one." The waitress smiled and nodded. William's lips trembled slightly, but he said nothing. Just looked down at his hands, gripping the edges of his coat. Shaq had no idea that this small encounter was about to change both their lives forever. William sat in silence, staring at the steaming bowl of soup in front of him. The rich aroma of roasted vegetables and warm broth filled the air, but he hesitated to pick up the spoon. It had been a long time since anyone had shown him kindness like this. Shaq, on the other hand, wasted no time. He unwrapped his burger, took a massive bite, and chewed with satisfaction. Mum, bro, you gotta try this. I swear this joint makes the juiciest burgers in town. William finally picked up the spoon and took a cautious sip of the soup. A wave of warmth spread through him. It wasn't just the food. It was the feeling of being treated like a human being again. Shaq leaned back in his chair, watching the old man. So, William, what's your story? William swallowed hard. He looked down, fidgeting with his spoon. People don't usually care to ask. Well, I do. Shaq's tone was firm but kind. You weren't always counting pennies for food, were you? William sighed, his fingers tightening around the soup bowl as if it were his last lifeline. No, he admitted. Once upon a time, I had a home, a wife, a daughter. His voice cracked at the last word. Shaq leaned forward. What happened? The diner's neon lights cast a dim glow on William's face, highlighting the deep lines of hardship. Life happened, he muttered. I was a carpenter. Built houses with my own hands. Good hands, steady hands. He lifted his trembling fingers, as if mourning the strength they once had. But then, one accident. Just one. Shaq listened intently. William exhaled shakily. I fell from a scaffold. Messed up my back real bad. Couldn't work anymore. No work meant no money. No money meant, well, you can guess the rest. Shaq nodded, his jaw tightening. He had heard stories like this before. Good people, hard-working people, losing everything because of one cruel twist of fate. My wife, bless her soul, she tried. She stayed as long as she could, but the bills piled up. The stress, it was too much. She took our daughter and left. William's voice became barely a whisper. That was 15 years ago. Shaq felt a lump in his throat. You ever see them again? William shook his head. I lost track of them. No phone, no address. They probably think I'm dead. He chuckled bitterly. Maybe that's for the best. Shaq set down his burger, his appetite suddenly gone. Nah, man, that ain't right. William shrugged. It's just how life goes. One moment, you're building homes for others. The next, you don't even have a roof over your own head. For the first time that night, Shaq had no words. He had seen poverty before, had even struggled himself growing up. But something about William's story hit differently. A thought crept into Shaq's mind. An idea, a crazy one. He didn't just want to help William for one night. He wanted to do something bigger, something that would change this man's life for good. But how? As Shaq stared at the old man, an idea began to take shape. Something unthinkable. Shaq sat back in his chair, staring at William. The diner hummed around them. Chatter, clinking plates, the occasional burst of laughter. But at this table, it was just them. A millionaire rapper and a homeless old man. Two lives that should have never crossed paths, now entangled by fate. Shaq rubbed his chin, deep in thought. So, let me get this straight. You spent your life building homes, and now you don't even have one? William let out a dry chuckle. Funny how life works, huh? Shaq didn't laugh. Instead, he leaned forward, his eyes burning with something fierce. Nah, bro, that ain't how your story ends. William looked at him, confused. What do you mean? Shaq pulled out his phone and started scrolling. You ever use social media? William shook his head. I haven't touched a phone in years. Shaq smirked. Well, good thing I have. He turned his phone around, showing a live stream screen. You see this? I got millions of people watching me. Every time I go live, people tune in. And right now, they're about to meet you. William's eyes widened. What? No, I... Before he could protest, Shaq tapped the screen. Live. The comments started rolling in instantly. Yo, Big Shaq live at a diner? What's going on? Aye, my guy Shaq, what's good? Who's the old dude? Tell us a story, bro. Shaq turned the camera to William. Aight, listen up, people. This right here is William. He ain't just some random guy. He's a builder, a father, and life hit him hard. But you know what? We ain't gonna let him stay down. William shifted, uncomfortably. I don't... Shaq patted his shoulder. Relax, my guy. Just tell him your story. Hesitant at first, William began talking. He told them about his past, his job, his family, the accident, and how everything unraveled. His voice trembled, but as the words came, so did something else. Hope. The comments blew up. Yo, this is heartbreaking. We gotta help this man. Shaq, what you planning, bro? Someone find his daughter. Shaq grinned. See, people care, William. And now, we're gonna do something crazy. He paused for dramatic effect, then said the unthinkable. We're getting you a house. The diner went silent. Even the waitress, who had been refilling drinks, froze. William blinked. What? Shaq turned back to the camera. Listen up, fam. We're gonna raise money for William right now. Whatever y'all can donate, big or small, we're making this happen. This man built homes for others, and now he deserves one. Within seconds, the donations started flooding in. $10 from Jake. Much love, William. $50 from Lisa. Let's make this happen. $100 from Anonymous. No one should be homeless. $500 from Mark. Respect, Shaq, let's go. Shaq refreshed the page. His eyes widened. Yo, we just hit $10,000 in 5 minutes. William sat there speechless. His hands trembled, but this time not from hunger. Shaq turned to him, eyes shining. Told you. Your story ain't over, my guy. It's just beginning. William swallowed hard, overwhelmed by the kindness of strangers. I don't know what to say. Shaq grinned. Then don't say anything. Just get ready for a new life. William sat frozen in his seat, staring at the phone screen as the numbers climbed higher. $15,000. $20,000. $25,000. His hands trembled. Just an hour ago, he had been counting pennies for a simple meal. Now, strangers, people he had never met, were giving him a second chance at life. Shaq slapped the table, grinning. Yo, my guy, you seeing this? We're about to change everything for you. Tears welled up in William's eyes. I don't understand. Why? Why would people help me? Shaq leaned forward. Because, man, the world ain't as cold as you think. People just need to hear the right story to care. And your story? It's powerful. The diner staff had gathered around, watching the live stream in awe. Even the cook had stepped out from the kitchen, wiping his hands on his apron. A waitress nudged Shaq. I saw a guy sleeping outside last night. Was that him? Shaq nodded. Not anymore. The comments kept rolling in. We need to find his family. Shaq, buy him a house today. This is why I love humanity. Shaq turned to William. All right, here's the deal. You're getting a roof over your head, but we're going bigger than that. William looked at him, confused. Bigger? Shaq smirked. We ain't just giving you a place to sleep. We're getting you back on your feet. You're a builder, right? William nodded slowly. Shaq clapped his hands together. Then we're going to build. I know people, good people, who'd love to hire someone with real skills like yours. William's breath hitched. Work, a purpose, a way back to dignity. He choked up. I don't know what to say. Shaq grinned. Then don't. Just get ready. Just then, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression changed. Yo, hold up. William wiped his eyes. What? Shaq looked up, his face serious. Your daughter. Someone found her. The entire diner fell silent. William's heart nearly stopped. What? Shaq showed him the screen. A woman had commented on the live stream. I think this is my dad. I lost him years ago. His name is William Thompson. If it's him, please tell him Sarah is looking for him. William's breath hitched. Sarah. He barely whispered the name. His hands clutched the table as if he were holding on to reality itself. Shaq tapped the screen. Yo, Sarah, we're getting you on a call right now. Within seconds, the live stream exploded. Viewers flooded the chat with messages of support. Bro, this is insane. Reunion time. I'm crying. Someone get tissues. The phone rang once, twice. Then, hello? A shaky female voice came through. William's eyes filled with tears. Sarah? There was silence on the other end, then a choked sob. Dad? William covered his mouth, his whole body trembling. It's me, baby. It's really me. The entire diner watched in stunned silence. Shaq wiped his eyes and chuckled. Man, I didn't expect this to turn into a movie. William laughed through his tears. Neither did I. But for the first time in 15 years, he felt something he thought he had lost forever. Hope. William gripped the phone tightly, his heart pounding as Sarah's voice trembled through the speaker. Dad? Is it really you? Tears streamed down his face. He had dreamed of this moment for years, but never thought it would actually happen. His voice cracked as he whispered, It's me, baby girl. I never stopped thinking about you. The diner remained silent, every person in the room holding their breath. The live stream chat exploded. I'm crying right now. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Shaq, you're a real one for this. Sarah sniffled on the other end. Where have you been, Dad? I looked for you. But you were just gone. William swallowed hard. Life. It took everything from me. After the accident, I lost my job, then my home. I didn't want you to see me like that. I didn't want you to worry. Sarah's voice broke. Dad, I didn't care about that. I just wanted you. William shut his eyes, the weight of his choices crashing down on him. He had let his shame push him away, but none of that mattered now. His daughter still loved him. Shaq, wiping his own eyes, leaned over and spoke into the phone. Yo, Sarah, listen. Your dad's about to get a fresh start. He's got a place to live and soon, a job. But the biggest thing he needs right now? It's you. There was a pause. Then Sarah said, Where is he? I want to see him. Shaq grinned. Say less. We're making it happen. He ended the call and turned to William. My guy, you ready for a reunion? William could only nod, too overwhelmed to speak. The big surprise. The next morning, Shaq took William to a small, cozy house just outside the city. It wasn't a mansion, but it was his. The donations had skyrocketed overnight, crossing $50,000. The house had already been paid for, and Shaq had personally made sure it was fully furnished. William stepped inside, his hands shaking, a warm living room, a stocked kitchen, a bed that wasn't a cold park bench. He turned to Shaq, his voice breaking. I don't deserve this. Shaq crossed his arms. Nah, man, you do. And you're never going back to the streets. Before William could respond, there was a knock at the door. He froze. His heart pounded in his chest. Shaq smirked. I think you should answer that. William hesitated, then slowly opened the door. Standing there, tears in her eyes, was Sarah. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Then, in an instant, she rushed into his arms. Dad? William held on to her like he never wanted to let go. I'm so sorry, baby girl. I'm so sorry. Sarah sobbed into his chest. You're here. That's all that matters. Shaq stepped back, letting them have their moment. The live stream chat was still rolling. Thousands of people watching this real-life miracle unfold. This is beautiful. Not me crying at work right now. Shaq is the GOAT for this. A future rebuilt. Over the next few months, William's life transformed. He started working again, thanks to connections Shaq had set up for him. He and Sarah spent time making up for lost years, rebuilding their bond. He even started helping homeless shelters, giving back to others who were in the position he once was. And Shaq? He didn't just disappear. He checked in regularly, making sure William was truly okay. One day, as they sat on the porch of his new home, William turned to Shaq and said, You didn't have to do any of this, but you did. Why? Shaq smiled. Because, man, everyone deserves a second chance. William looked at him, eyes full of gratitude. Thank you. Shaq grinned. Don't thank me. Just promise me one thing. William raised an eyebrow. What's that? Shaq pointed to the street. When you see someone struggling like you were, help them. Keep this going. William smiled. I will. As the sun set, a feeling of peace washed over him. For the first time in years, he wasn't just surviving. He was living. The end.